my mic on. That's essential when doing live shows. Hey, Alex, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Um, all right. So today is August 1st on a Saturday, first of the month, and it is 2026, and this is Yoddah Live. I am Yoddah, spelled Y-O-D-D-A-H, because film studios are litigious. And we're having a diner night, a regular Saturday diner night, which I didn't do last week. I took last Saturday night off. I don't remember why. I just didn't feel like it, I think. That's usually my MO. Anyway, so here we are, getting ready to just have a regular old conversation about nothing in particular. That's what diner nights are about. We don't have any agenda. The only thing we do is avoid politics. That's the big one. The big one is avoid politics. We don't need it. Unless no one shows up, and then it becomes a free-for-all, but who knows? You know? My regulars and mods have not arrived yet. I don't know what that's about. That's kind of interesting. But such is life, right? Ba-da-da-da. Let's see what's going on around here. So let me get my tech all set up. There we go. Right. So you know what? While we're waiting for people to come in, I have a little bit of a long song to play, so I might as well play it and see if anybody shows up. And if they don't, then I'll have to figure out what to do after that. All right, let's see. We are looking for a 70s classic. I believe this is 1979. It is one of the I guess the stalwarts of disco. I think that's a good way to put it. And the band is The Whispers. The song And the Beat Goes On. Let's, if I could only get my mouse over there, let's hear it. And the beat goes on. How do you not tap your toes and wiggle your butt to the whispers? I mean, I can't sit still when the whispers are on. That's just good late stage disco. Come on, man. Anyway, so here we are again. I introduced the show earlier, but I neglected to introduce myself. This is Yoda Live, and I am Yoda, spelled Yodddah, because film studios are litigious. And if my face looks strange to you, don't adjust your TV sets or your phone screens or whatever you're seeing me on. It is not an optical illusion. I look like a shaved cat right now because usually the first week in August, I trim my beard very, very low. It exposes all the chins that I have that my beard normally hides. But I do that it's just a habit. I have no real good reason for it. I just like to start over every year. August is usually a very hot month, so it's a good month not to have a beard, a full beard. And, come fall, it'll be nice and full again. You know, in uh, in a couple of days, I'll look more homeless than I do now. Um, but that's just, the early stages of it regrowing. But, one thing I notice for sure every year, it's more and more gray. I can only imagine based on the pattern when did I start going gray? I think I might have been in my late 20s. I think. I don't know. I had jet black hair for a while. Or really like, yeah, black, dark brown. I guess it would be black, but yeah, it was probably my early to mid 30s that I started going gray. Alpha girl, hello, good to see you. Welcome. You just missed the whispers and the beat goes on. Phenomenal song. Um, and anyway, so since I started going gray, I just noticed every year it's more and more gray, which makes sense. March of time, all that good stuff. And so I have a feeling that if I live long enough, my my facial hair, including my eyebrows, because my eyebrows actually do have some gray coming out. I tend to pluck them right now, only because it looks like there's dirt in my, or something in my eyebrow rather than just hair. But I have a feeling that I don't know about my eyelashes. That would be funny if my eyelashes went gray too. But I guess that's possible, right? But certainly, I think I'm going to be uh, gray, all gray one day. We'll see. Um, So let's see. I did since we have just a couple people here and nothing to really anchor the show beyond my meanderings. I do want to share something that I experienced on my live show Thursday afternoon because I've started doing religious shows for probably half of the week, and it's technically to me it's technically not a religious show. It's really a philosophical show because my prompt for those shows is God is just in your imagination. And that is not meant to be an insult or to degrade anybody's belief in anything. It's just to say that the only evidence I've ever seen of God is in people saying they believe in God. But outside of those people, there's never been any evidence that anyone has ever pointed me toward. All right. So I conclude that God is just your imagination. So I've been doing these for a while now. And on this past Thursday, July 30th, during the afternoon show, a young lady came on. Her screen name is Spiritual Shorty. Her actual name is Rayhana. And she was telling me about her father, Jamal, and how they, as a Muslim family, experienced what they call an honor, Killing, right? And how her father had supported and justified that because it was part of their religion. And she then went on to tell me that because of my live shows, that he changed his mind about all of that and now rejects religion. So, you know, that's pretty amazing. And not only did he reject religion, but because he rejected religion, it repaired her relationship with him. And I mean, I was on the verge of tears when she said that to me, because that's such a beautiful thing to me. The idea that, because of the goofy things that I say, some of them maybe not so goofy and actually meaningful to people, it actually helps somebody. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Alpha Girl says, "Who made trees?" Um, well, I think the Earth made the trees, but I don't know beyond that. Like, science tells us about the hot dense state and the Big Bang. We don't know what was going on before then. We presume that there had to be a before then, but what was the universe doing before the hot dense state and Big Bang? But I don't know. And Alpha Girl, if you want to come up and have a conversation, I know it's much harder in the chat. Um, you know, Feel free to request up, or here, I'll send an invitation. There you go. All right, Alpha Girl has
Hello,
come
my
up.
friend.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I am excellent.
Good to
Thank you
see
so
you.
much for asking. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I hope this my hairless face doesn't bother you too much.
Oh, no, please. Oh, come on. You know.
So you were asking who made the trees and who made the earth, and
So so you said, okay, so let me
Mhm.
backtrack a little before
Sure.
we go into that question.
Okay.
You said religion, and I think that a lot of us
I actually said
mistake
God. I didn't say religion, but
no, earlier you said that the person that I'm not sure if it was the person that was in your show on Thursday, but you said God, and then you also said religion. Just several sentences ago.
okay.
So religion is not the same thing as having faith or spirituality.
Right. That's the
That
distinction between the institution and the believer. I agree with you.
right. So I don't believe in religion. I don't, because religion is man-made.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that there is a God.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that um, there is someone that um, is an intelligent being
Mm-hmm.
that created all of these things that we cannot explain. So, for example, who made the trees? Well, Earth. Who made the Earth? So then we backtrack,
Mm-hmm.
kind of reverse engineer and we get into infinity with that reverse engineering mindset.
Theoretically.
Of right. Well, nobody knows.
Right. That's why
So
it's
if
theoretically.
we don't know,
Mm-hmm.
how do we explain it? And so how do we explain things of faith and spirituality?
Right. That's the God of the gaps theory. And Yash, thank you for the heart, man. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
That's the God of the gaps theory, meaning anything we don't know, the answer must be God.
It's not that the answer, I'm not saying that's the answer, is that there's still a question mark. To me, that's just
Yeah.
the way I
There
look at
there
it. To
are
me,
there
there's
are
still a
unanswered
question
questions.
mark.
Yeah,
Right.
there's
And
unanswered questions.
so I'm just, for me, I just go and keep living life the best, be trying to be the best person that I can to my fellow human beings.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's the way I look at it. But for me, I have faith in God,
Mm-hmm.
because I have seen things that have happened in my life supernaturally that I cannot explain,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Do
And
you care to share any of them? And
sure.
by the way, I'm not here to convince you not to believe.
Oh no, no, no. I know, honey. I know. I know. I know.
So
You and I are here.
is there an example that you want to share? Because I mean, supernatural sounds
So
pretty compelling.
sure. So just from birth, my father, my biological father, jumped on my mother's womb to try to kill me in her womb. And my mother was bruised up. She was she was in the hospital. They had to induce a coma way back when with her so that to save me. I do believe in medical expertise, but anybody can go at any time. We don't have control of who dies or who lives. We really don't have that control. So who has that control? You know,
So let me ask you a question about the
mhm,
story you just told.
mhm.
So your mother was brutally attacked by your father, who obviously was a
Yes,
horrible person,
yes.
and I understand I had a father like that too. And she was taken to the hospital, and they took care of her. So what was that story meant to illustrate?
It's meant to. Oh, that was just the beginning of my life.
Yeah, but
Okay,
what was it?
it's
What was the story
it's
meant
meant
to
to.
convey?
Okay. Oh, sure. So it's meant to illustrate that I've seen God doing things in my life from the
Right.
very beginning of my life
Okay.
all the way up until now
So that
to
so you
that
concluded you decided that incident was a reflection of God's work.
it was not just that incident. It
No,
was
we're talking about this incident right now. So in that incident, your conclusion was that that was God.
yes, because there
Okay.
was a reason. Yes.
Was it also God that your father attacked your mother?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I cannot say that was God. I cannot say that was evil, but I in my belief system, things happen for a reason. We all
Yeah.
have a
And by
there
the way, sorry to interrupt. If you did
okay.
say it was evil, that would be God because God claimed to create evil.
Well, he allowed certain things to
He
happen.
literally said that he created it.
Yes, he did. He
Okay.
created the devil.
So evil is God.
Um,
So I'm saying if you conclude that what your father did was evil, that was
mhm.
also God.
He allowed it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So
He
does
allowed it.
so
Yeah.
in my mind, and again, I don't care what anybody believes. I really don't,
Hmm, hmm.
because nobody's beliefs affect my life.
Right.
So if people want to believe in unicorns and in dragons and in garden gnomes, I don't give a fuck.
Hmm.
So in my mind, your story sounds to me that something horrible happened to your mother. Medical intervention prevented her from dying and facilitated your birth, which is a wonderful thing. And there is nothing mysterious or supernatural about what happened.
Right. But so in my belief system, um, yes, I agree with that. But I've also heard of several, in trying to recover from all of what happened in my life. I've also heard several instances where people just die as a result of brutal beatings like that.
Yeah,
Children
people
just
also
die.
die of
So,
sneezing.
yeah. So who has control of that?
It sounds to me like biology does.
Who has control of biology?
Nature.
Who has control of nature?
Don't know.
Okay. So so that's that reverse engineering of what the gap, the difference between what you believe and what I believe. That I believe that God has a plan for all of our lives. And
Hmm.
sometimes when things like that happen, is to teach the people that are part of that experience something about themselves and their
So,
lives.
what was God trying to teach your mother by having her brutally beaten up?
Well, my mother had her own set of issues, but one of the things that she was very at that time, she one of her, I wouldn't say flaws, but her shortcomings was that she would immediately trust anybody that would give her attention.
And there was
And
no
she
better
was
way to
not
teach
very
her about that than to have
She
her
was not,
brutally beaten
well,
up and
no, no,
hospitalized?
I'm not saying that that was the way, but not to get into that rabbit hole of relationships, but it says something about getting to know the person that you're
And you don't think
going.
there was another better way to teach her that lesson?
There was a better way to teach her that lesson, but my
Okay,
mother
so
only
then
knew
so
my
then
father for
so
6 months
so
before they
wait,
got
hold on, hold
married.
on, hold on.
Uh-huh.
So if there was a better way to teach her that lesson, then God was wrong for what he did.
Maybe.
Okay. So then now God's not perfect.
I don't agree with that.
If he could be wrong, he can't be perfect.
No, I didn't say he was wrong.
No, you
You
said
said he was
maybe.
wrong.
You said maybe. So I
No,
said
no,
if
no,
he
no, no,
could
no,
be
no.
wrong, then
No,
he
that's
then
no.
he's not
I
perfect.
said maybe. I
Yes,
said
that's and
maybe
that's
to
what I
you.
just repeated. I
No,
said
no,
that you
no.
said
Listen.
maybe, and that
I said
means
maybe to. I said
maybe.
maybe to your statement that said
Yeah. Yeah,
what you said.
I asked you,
Wasn't
could
there a
God be wrong?
better way
Yeah,
for her to learn? And
right.
I said maybe,
Right. So
maybe.
if that's maybe, then maybe God was wrong for teaching her that lesson that way.
That's why you conclude. I don't conclude that.
I conclude that based on the words that you're speaking. Okay. All I'm doing is listening
No.
to what you're saying and processing it. So what did I miss? What did I get wrong?
So, okay, so let's backtrack.
Hmm.
What you said was, wasn't there a better way to teach your mother that lesson? And I said maybe.
Okay.
So, so I said maybe because I don't know if there was a better way.
Okay.
Okay.
So that
I
means that
suppose in
maybe
my
God
mind
was
that there was
wrong.
well, that's your conclusion.
Yes, that's I'm not here representing a group. This is a one-on-one conversation.
Mhm.
So
No, yeah,
everything I'm
yeah, yeah.
saying is my conclusion. So that's not something necessary to point out. So
Mhm.
so if you're saying that because if you think God is perfect, then the
Mhm.
answer to the question, was there a better way to teach your mother that lesson, is no.
Well, I don't know that. That's why I said maybe.
So then maybe God was wrong.
I don't know. I don't
That
agree with
that's
that.
that's how that's how logic works, though. That's the natural progression of those
Well,
sentiments.
okay. But you see,
Was
you're looking at it
is God
logically.
perfect? Is God perfect?
I think so. Yes,
You
I
think
know
God is
so.
perfect? Okay.
Yes,
So why is it that 20,000 children every single day perish from starvation?
because they're evil. There's evil in this world. And
Okay.
that evil manifests itself
Mm-hmm.
through people that make choices
And why doesn't God
to,
put an end to that?
well, because God has given us choice
Not
to do
really.
what we really?
No,
Okay.
not really.
You don't think so?
If I hold a weapon to your head and I say your money or your life, I am technically giving you a choice. But under the law, that's referred to as coercion. So if I say to you, you have a free choice to make, but if you make the wrong choice, you are damned for eternity, that's also coercion.
Okay. Okay.
So why doesn't God prevent the 20,000 children a day from starving to death?
Because there is choice.
By who?
You see, I think that there is a fundamental it's a fundamental belief system that you have, and there's a fundamental belief system that I have, that I have developed over the years.
Yeah,
Because
we're being redundant now. So
all right.
let's get to the point of my question about the children. Does God have the power to prevent those children from starving to death?
Right, he does.
Okay, so why doesn't he?
Have you asked him?
No, because I don't think he exists. So I don't ask imaginary things questions. So
Okay,
so
so
why
then
so but it doesn't matter whether I ask him or not. Are you telling me that the 20,000 children a day that pass away from starvation is contingent on whether I ask God that question?
no,
Oh, okay, good, good. So it doesn't
it's
matter whether I
contingent
ask him or not.
it's contingent upon people making the right choices.
So
Okay,
even if those choices result in 20,000 children starving to death every day, which is a very painful way to lose your life,
right.
God will not intervene.
God intervenes in certain situations that support his plan.
So then he's capricious. He's not consistent then.
No, I don't think capricious is the word. I think that he actually um, gives you the opportunity for you to run your life.
So what opportunity did those children have to run their lives?
No, not that. Okay, so assuming that those children are under the care of of adults.
Right.
Okay,
So if these children have bad parents, then God says, well, they have bad parents, so I can't do anything about that.
but it's not.
They just have
But
to
it's
pass away.
but it's not that.
That's what
It's
it
not
sounds
that
like. But
simple.
before we go on, let me just say
Mhm.
hello to it's
Who's that?
M Hags, is it?
Good morning, sir.
Did I
Or
get
good
your name right?
afternoon. Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
great.
Hello.
So
How are you?
what's on your mind?
Hi.
Hi, sir. I'd just like to come here respectfully and like be prepared to like have a respectful debate with you. Obviously, I won't push any of my beliefs on you.
Wonderful.
So I wasn't pushing my beliefs. He was
Hold
asking.
on. Whoa.
No, I was just telling
No,
him that I was.
whoa. I
I'm not
understand.
pushing.
Right now I am talking to him. So let me
Okay.
finish my conversation with him. Please continue.
So I'd just like to really just like hear your own opinions. And again, I don't want to push anything. If I make you feel uncomfortable, please tell me.
Uh, what opinions do you want to hear?
Um, I'd like to hear your opinion, if it's okay. I'd like to hear your opinions on like world troubles and how religion affects that, or how religion sees that.
That's a very broad question. Can you narrow that down?
Um, sorry, hold on. I'd like to hear like your opinions on like why things happen, why like bad things happen, and why um you're not a believer, are you? Uh,
Okay,
j-
I'll try to indulge this. This doesn't seem very productive, but why do bad things happen? Because people do bad things.
yeah, that's
Right.
exactly
That's
right.
correct.
Uh-huh.
If you're looking at it from our like Christian religious side, I noticed like watching the discussion that like bad parents and all that, and how God can't save those children. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, keep going.
Was that what we were talking about, or was I taking that out of context?
Well, I don't think you heard the whole conversation, but my question was about, I'm trying to figure out what God's motivation is and how God operates. And right now it seems very unsatisfactory to me because I just chose one example, which is 20,000 children every day perish from starvation. And I'd like to know why God doesn't prevent that.
Okay, so and again, please stop me if
You don't have to
reference
keep
it.
saying that. Come on, let's move it along.
No worries. So basically, God gave everyone free will,
No, he
pretty
didn't.
much, and that free will.
No, he didn't. No,
Some
we're
people.
not going to agree on that point. He did not give
Okay.
free will. Free will is not do what I tell you or you're damned forever. That's not free will.
Well,
Can
then
I
why
ask
do
you a
other
question?
people
Hold
believe
on,
they're working?
you were up
Okay.
here for a few minutes having a conversation with me.
I was just asking a question.
I understand, but now give me a minute to get into a rhythm and find out what his point is, and then I will happily bring you back into the conversation. So
Okay,
what were you
sure.
going to say?
Thank you.
So the like again because well, I personally believe as a Christian, God gave everyone free will,
Mm-hmm.
and that people bad people abuse that power, basically saying
Right. So those
like
bad people are
again.
more powerful than God then.
Well, no, because on
They
this
must be.
world,
They must
God.
be.
Well,
If they're
when they come to
abusing that
the
power and he won't stop it on behalf of 20,000 children, then they're more powerful than he is.
okay, well, when they get to the judgment day, when the say if it's a
Yeah,
leader, for
what proof
example.
do you have of judgment day?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your
What
question?
proof do you have of judgment day?
Well, we do have. Well, people have been saying that when they do
I
die,
haven't
like
asked
I
about
work
people.
in,
I asked you about you. What proof do you have of judgment day?
and I have proof. So I've been in med care for years now,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of patients, when if they pass away, but we manage to bring them back, they do
Mm-hmm.
say they see a light, and they do see
Sure.
sort of God.
Mm-hmm. Sword of
There's
God.
a common sign,
That's your
but
proof. Sword of God. Okay.
well, no, they see
That
God, is what I said.
you said sword of God.
Sorry,
Um.
my fault.
So someone hallucinating when their brain is under duress is proof that that there's a judgment day. You didn't say anything about judgment day. You said something about seeing sword of God. That's not the same as judgment day.
That is to us, it's when you die and you come to the gates. That's the judgment day. That's the fate
Yeah,
that
but
is decided
they
by
didn't
God.
get to the gates. That you said they saw what they believed was God. That's not getting to the gates, especially since they didn't actually die. They stayed alive, so there was no judgment.
Well, they did have no response in their brain.
Uh-huh.
They had no responders at all,
Right. So
which is what we class as death.
so they were pronounced dead, but the pronouncement was obviously wrong because they continued to live.
Yes, well, we brung them back. We managed to
Okay.
get electricity going into their
So they
brain that
didn't
brings them
die.
back.
They didn't die. They came back and they survived. So why if they continued living, why would they have been judged? I thought judgment was when you die and go to heaven. Or not.
No, when you die,
Mm-hmm.
then it's
Mm-hmm.
judgment day for you.
Right.
Judgment day is
So
when
far you don't have any proof of judgment day, which is fine. But Alphagor, you said you had a question that you wanted to ask.
okay.
Yeah, I put it on the chat. I said, so you said God is capricious earlier, and then you
I
said
said he sounded capricious based on what you were saying.
right, and then you said or to in response to the gentleman that's on the line that God really doesn't give you a choice. But then you said in the conversation, or maybe I interpreted that way, that what is your proof that that they were dead, or what is your proof that God, just in so many words, that what I interpreted that God exists.
Yeah, I didn't ask anything about the proof of being dead, but yeah. So I asked about what was his proof for judgment day.
Okay, so do you believe that God exists?
I don't.
Okay, so if you don't believe that God exists, then the part that I don't understand is that God, when you said God does not give us free will, how does that reconcile with your belief that He doesn't exist?
There's no conflict there. I don't think there is a God to give us free will. So, I'm
So
I'm
then,
only
why do you?
I was answering your framework, not mine.
Yeah, but then why? Okay, but then He doesn't give us free will.
Again,
Is
that
that
was
your?
based on your framework. You
Okay,
said
gotcha,
you said
gotcha.
God gives us free will, and I said
No, no, no. It
no.
was the old gentleman who said that, not
You
me.
had said that earlier also, but I said you cannot have free will under coercion. Remember when I said that to you?
Yeah, you said that.
Okay,
Yes, you did.
so
I remember that.
so you had brought up free will, and I
Hmm.
said there can be no free will under coercion. If I point a weapon to your head and I say your money or your life, I am technically giving you a choice, but that choice is under coercion. Right? Do
Hmm.
you disagree with that?
No,
Okay, so
I
you
agree
agree
with
that
you.
that's coercion. So how is that choice different than either follow me or you will be damned forever? How is that different?
So,
How is
so,
that how does that add up to free will?
so I have not seen that,
Seen what?
like anywhere. Follow me, or you'll be damned forever.
That is in the Bible all over the place.
No, that is about Christ, not God.
Christ is representing God. He specifically said that. He also said that he came to bring a sword. He came to maintain the old laws, which were permanent. So this Old Testament, New Testament dodge does not work because Jesus Christ's specific words were that he was maintaining the word of God and the laws of God.
And you believe that.
No, I believe that that's what the text says. Because
Okay.
the Bible obviously exists, right?
Hmm.
So that's what the text of the Bible says. So trying to dismiss the Old Testament is a dodge that Christians do that's not right based on their
So
own
I'm not
book.
doing that. That's not what I'm
Yes,
doing.
that's exactly what you did. I
No,
listen, I
no,
listen
I'm so
very
not.
carefully to what you say. In fact, I listen better to what you say than you have because you forgot a few things that you said so far. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to be rude, but that is a fact, okay? And so when you try to talk to me about Jesus and God, then it seems that maybe I've read the Bible more recently than you have. And again, not an insult, just a
So why do
fact.
you read the Bible if you don't believe in God?
Because I wanted to be good at having this conversation.
Why?
Because I wanted to.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So anybody have anything else on this?
So can I just ask you about something you said before?
How many times do I have to give you permission to talk to me, dude? I brought you up here just to ask you a question.
So you said that either they follow or will be damned forever. Are you talking about being in hell, or are you meaning in
According
this
to
life?
the Bible, right? There is eternal damnation, is there not?
Well, yes, but that is for non-believers, and I can clarify on this because if you live a whole life of not being with
Yeah,
God,
so there you go. So there's the coercion. Either believe in me or you are damned forever.
well, do you know why? Is
It
because
doesn't
if
matter why,
hell,
because that's
heaven is with
coercion.
God.
That's coercion. That
What
is
can I
not
ask is
free will.
when you do die, and say if Judgment Day does exist, then when you say to God, God, why aren't you letting me in heaven? I was a good man because you did not follow me, and for that reason, I will continue your
Yeah,
wish
so
of
God
not
didn't
believing in me.
didn't make himself known to me, didn't show me proof that he existed, and allowed me to believe that he didn't exist, and now he's going to punish me for that. That's your idea, right? That's what you're presenting me right now?
No, what I'm saying
Oh no, you're
is
not.
that
Oh,
you
that
believe.
sounds exactly like what you were saying.
It's you need to believe. That's why it's called believing in God.
Right. So either believe or go to hell. But before we continue, hello, Island Boy Pundit. How you doing, brother?
It's been a while, and you're back at it, man. I love it.
Well, I've been back. So
No, I was out of town for
yeah,
a little bit.
but
I was in
yeah, I haven't.
I
I
was in
actually
Chicago.
I skipped diner night last week, but we're at it today, and somehow we. I was actually talking about a beautiful experience that I had on Thursday afternoons live, and
Mhm.
it piqued the lovely young lady's curiosity, and she came up and started asking me questions about it. And so this is where we are in the conversation of trying to explain to me what has already been explained in the Bible, but they seem to think that it means
So,
something different than what I think.
so here's the thing, right? I've read the Bible cover to cover, folks. The other two on here, Yoda knows this. I've read the Bible. So has Yoda. Yoda's read the Bible
Yeah.
cover to cover.
So let me
I've
ask you
grown
a
up in the
question.
church.
Let
But
me let
hold
me ask
on.
you a question
I
based on
want to
that.
ask
Wait,
them
wait, wait. I
something.
just I just want to bring you into where we are in the conversation.
Hmm.
So does the Bible make it clear that if you do not follow God's ways or believe in God, that you are damned forever in whatever eternity of torment and torture that he has in store for you?
Yes, it does. And it's
Okay.
worse than that. It's
Hmm.
worse than that. I've seen
Hmm.
parts, I can't remember exactly when the Bible says it, but it says, if you have been told about God, about Jesus, and you do not convert, then you are further condemned. You are
Right.
further damned.
Hmm.
That
Yes.
is what the
But by the
conquistadors,
way,
that is
even
what the
if you
missionaries use
but even if you're
as the
not told,
justification.
But even if you're not told,
Yeah,
that's the beauty of
right.
it. Because if you are unaware of Christ's
Mhm.
existence because nobody told you about it, in Armageddon you still get perished.
There's a poem I wrote years ago about I was deconstructing um, each stanza, a couple stanzas of the Lord's Prayer. And there's a line I said in there, because I wrote it years ago when I was in college. I still have a copy of it, where I was deconstructing the Lord's Prayer. And I said, there's one stanza where I said, in reference to that same point, if you are told and you do not convert, then you're damned. I said, there's one line. How do you make the lifelong vegetarian bask in the saline rapture of meat? And I was speaking in Old English. How the fuck do you get the lifelong vegetarian who's only known vegan food, who's only eaten fruit and vegetables, does not have a taste for meat? How the fuck do you get them to bask in the saline rapture of meat? If you
Yeah,
say your Christianity is so beefy and so meaty, how the fuck do you get the vegetarian to do that? And should the vegetarian instantly convert to eating meat? Should the vegetarian instantly convert to eating bacon? What the fuck are you people talking
that's a
about?
very interesting idea. It
So,
makes me think of another thing, and then we'll get to you. Um, uh, I find it very interesting that God designed a planet where obviously they were clearly capable of making vegans. And I'm talking about animals in the animal kingdom, not just humans, right? So
Hmm.
there are animals that are vegans, gorillas, deer, a bunch of them, right? All of the herbivores of the
Hmm.
animal kingdom. So why are some animals meat eaters, which ensures that every single day animals have to suffer at the hands of predators? That doesn't seem to make any sense. Why not just make a planet of herbivores? So you wanted to say something, Alpha Girl?
yes. So, I'm sorry, Island. I only see
Boy,
Island
Island
boy.
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 Okay, Island boy. Okay.
One day
Um,
he's going to be Island Man. We're rooting for him.
hey, so Yora, I'm gonna tell you, you got 26 people from when I first came in. You have like 20 people more, 20 more people in here.
That's all you.
Yeah. Oh no. That was you too. So hey, so assuming, do you think, Island Boy, that everybody has the same, every Christian has the same experience that they have been Christians for their entire life?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay, so then what you've said about your analogy with the vegetarian and the meat doesn't apply,
Of
no,
course
it
because
it
does
does.
apply
Of
because
course
it
it
does
does.
how
apply. Let,
so?
let, let me
It's a
answer.
Explain
Let me
that to
metaphor.
answer.
me.
It's a
Let me answer.
metaphor.
It's a metaphor I was using. It's a metaphor. Come on, people.
Okay,
As
so
as
explain
what
that then,
his
because
name. Oh, let me
it
say.
just
Let
kind
me
of
finish. Let me finish.
okay,
It's a metaphor. As
a metaphor for
as Drax the Destroyer said, metaphor. Okay,
okay, for
it's a
what?
metaphor. It's a
Can you
metaphor.
let him say it instead of
I'm
keeping
just
asking for?
asking
But
for
you've asked
what?
it
Stop,
3 times,
Yeah,
so
I know.
you're being
stop.
obnoxious right
Let me
now. Okay,
finish. Let me finish.
so if you
I
ask
am going
someone a
to answer.
question, stop and let him answer, please.
Go ahead.
I'm going to answer it the way I need to answer it in the pace I need to answer it. So you ask me a question, you're going to wait. So it's a
I'm gonna
metaphor.
wait.
Yes,
Well,
it's a
not anymore.
metaphor.
You're not, because you're really annoying me now. So
I'm
bye.
gone. Bye.
Yeah, you were
Bye.
gone. You were gone because I said you were gone, and I
I am
can't.
so tired of these
This
people.
happens all the time because people are not mature enough to hear a difference of opinion. That's all this is. It's a difference
Yeah.
of opinion. You have your opinion. I have my opinion, and like, let's have adult conversations. When you ask someone a question and then you keep going, oh, for what? For what? For what? That's just obnoxious. There's no need
Hmm.
for that, especially once he starts answering your question. Why would you keep saying that? That's childish.
Hmm.
So I can only take that shit so long.
Yeah, it's irritating. What I was going to say, of course, is relevant because if you go by the Bible is the Bible, right? The Bible is literally the Bible. We use the Bible as the law, right? All right, we say, oh, it's the Bible of this is the
Badly
Bible of
written
that,
fiction.
right? But the Bible says exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
If you are told about the Word of God, you are told about Jesus and you do not convert from your religion, whatever you consider yourself to be, if you don't convert, then you are going to hell. You are damned. It fucking says so.
And by the way, what happens if your brother doesn't convert? What are you supposed to do?
Then he goes to hell.
Beep, beep.
He's damned.
You're supposed to murk him.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That too. And I'm just like, I just cannot. And I'm especially livid these days because that fuck shit is fucking up the world right now. It's fucking up
Completely.
the country.
Completely.
I am so sick and tired. I have no patience for that shit anymore. That's why I was trying to poke fun at her saying Drax the Destroyer metaphor. You remember in Guardians of the Galaxy when Drax the Destroyer he is like Rocket says his people's are literal and then he learned about metaphors and then in the final climactic scene he said something that he said he finished killing a bunch of the people's guys. He says, "Oh, metaphor." So I was teasing her, saying metaphor. You
Yeah.
didn't get it. It's
But
a
I mean, it was
metaphor.
literally a metaphor. You were using a
It
metaphor to
was.
illustrate a point.
It was a metaphor. I
And
mean,
so,
come
like, okay,
on.
if you don't understand the metaphor, which is perfectly, I get it. Not all metaphors are perfectly obvious.
Hmm.
So, if you want to know what the metaphor is, and you say for what, and you start answering, why the fuck do you keep interrupting?
I was going to explain to her the metaphor. I was saying that because, as I said before, the Bible is pretty clear, cut and dry about that shit.
Yeah.
Old Testament and New Testament is cut and dry about that
And they
shit.
were trying to make it
Hey,
sound like it didn't. They were trying to make it sound like, oh, that was just the Old Testament. And let me tell you something, one of the
I hate that
weakest
shit.
dodges that Christian apologists make is, oh no, that was Old Testament. We don't need that. Bullshit. Jesus Christ, your fictional hero, specifically said that he was here to maintain the old laws, and the old laws were permanent. Okay? So there is no difference between the New and Old Testament in terms of thematic law of God. And the only difference in the New Testament is that Christians believe that that's where we introduce Christ and the Jews don't. Okay?
And you know what's
That's
funny?
it.
You know what's funny? If the Old Testament is quote unquote obsolete, like she's trying to act like, why the hell most of my life in church, like when I was a young kid growing up in church, why is it the pastors preach from the old and new and back and forth every
Yeah.
fucking
They
Sunday?
want to pick and choose. They want
Like,
see
come
the
on, man. Y'all
problem
stop
is
that
that
bullshit.
the Old Testament is full of horror. It's full of God doing horrible things to people. It's full of God commanding people to do horrible things. And those things include murking infants, okay? God specifically ordered one of his armies to cast the infants upon the stone, okay? So let's stop fucking pretending. You know, I'm no genius,
And
but I can read in English.
mhm. And I mean, there's so many contradictions in that damn thing. Like the Old Testament has one thing, then the New Testament has something else,
I
which
mean, the Old Testament
contradicts. I
has so
mean,
many
it's
contradictions. How about this? How about we made man in our image? That's already a plurality, right?
mhm.
God
So how
lied.
is it God?
God lied
Yeah.
to Eve because God told Eve, if you eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge on this day, you shall perish. And she didn't. So that was a lie. Um, the first commandment, don't worship any other gods besides me. Again, proof that there's not one true God, there's lots of them.
Well,
That's
that's
their
what I'm
own
saying.
fucking text.
Yeah. It's what they don't say sometimes ring louder than what they do say. It's like they say, oh wait, we refer to multiple deities, but only focus on this one.
Yeah.
And then again, wars are fought over
Yeah.
people, like people happen to realize, like, okay, if you want, say I'm buying into the fact that they're deities, if I'm buying into it, right? Say for the sake of argument, I'm buying
They're
into
pretty shitty
deities.
at their job if they are.
Yeah. If I'm buying into the fact that there are deities, there are other deities based on the book, why would I go around murdering people who don't believe in this particular God when
Just
this Bible
be
itself
careful of the
referred?
language.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Why would I go around, unaliving people, right, who believe in other deities
Because that's
when the
because
book
that's the
that you're
that's the
using is
rule.
just hold on, wait, no, but wait, it gets better. As you just said, our own image, no other gods but me. So why am I going around unaliving other people who believe in those other
Because
gods
they're the wrong
when the
gods.
book, when the book itself acknowledges that there are other gods?
Because they're the wrong gods.
Yeah, but then here's the thing: we go about murdering them and saying, "Oh, those are not,
Again,
those are, those
you
aren't."
gotta
Sorry,
gotta be careful.
they're going around unaliving them because those are not real gods.
Yeah.
They say that they don't exist. Some of them
And
actually
that's
say
why
that those that
Christopher
don't
Hitchens
exist.
said you need the Bible in order to make good people do terrible things.
True.
Not that that's the only way people can do terrible things, but terrible people we expect to do terrible things, but to get a good person to do something, you need the Bible. You need religion in order to do that. Like I was sharing that on Thursday. I mean, if you had been there on Thursday, you would have seen me very close to tears, which is no big deal. I've actually cried on this live a couple
I know.
times, but I was very close to tears because a woman came on and shared that her Muslim family at one point had an honor Killing in the family, and that
Oh
her father
wow.
justified it because of the Muslim faith, right? And she has been playing him my lives. And over time, he came to believe the same way I do that religion is bullshit, right? And harmful
Mm,
and terrible. And he turned his back. And what's beautiful about that is that that his belief in that religion put a wedge between them. So when he dropped it, it repaired their relationship, which is why I
Oh
was
my
so
God.
moved. Right? That's such a beautiful thing.
That's a
And
beautiful thing. Yeah.
when you look at the Bible objectively, meaning you don't have an agenda, you open it up and you say, "Let me read these stories and see what they actually say." Not what the guy in the front of the room is telling me they mean, but what they actually say. Because that's another thing, that's another fault I have of the Jewish religion, because they have the Talmud, which is like an interpretation of the Torah, and then you have so you have people telling you an interpretation of an interpretation, and then with the Muslim faith, you have the imams, which are again an intermediary between you and the text, right?
It's the
So,
same like Christianity, where they have the priests,
like for
like
instance,
Roman Catholic priests. Yeah.
exactly. Like for instance, in the Quran, there is nothing written about apostasy, right? But the imams teach it. Meaning, so
Mm.
like, why are we going to believe the people interpreting the book? Why don't we just go to the source and decide whether the source makes sense? You know,
Hmm.
because apostasy is a horrible thing. Oh, you don't believe anymore? You want to leave the religion? Well, we have to take your life. That's absurd. That's absurd.
Mm.
You know, and they justify these things. These are horrible things. Look at the things that God commands people to do, aside from the horrible things that God does himself. Okay? And you're going to sit there and tell me that's a book that's supposed to give me my morality?
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying. I turned away from that a long time ago now. And, you know, my mother-in-laws and stuff, and older relatives, they always, oh, you take the children to church and stuff like that. I'm like, ah, I'm being nice, but I kind of like don't answer them, because I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I leave the question unanswered. I'm not doing that. I'm not raising them in that nonsense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
the
had
the, the thing. Here's the thing.
yeah.
That book, and that's the thing. I don't understand. I understand why Black people are in this
Oh,
country are so religious, but at the
yeah,
same time,
but
I
man,
still ask,
did they back
why
the
the
wrong
fuck are
horse or
you?
what?
I'm like, I understand why they're so religious, but at the same time, I'm asking, why the fuck are you so religious? Do you not know that they use that to justify what they've done to us?
See, I don't have a
Hmm?
problem with the fact that they're religious. I mean, I hate religion, but why would you choose the religion that was beaten into your ancestors?
And they've used, and here's the thing, they've used the religion, that same book, to justify destroying our, like, after we got free, they used that to justify destroying towns, razing it to the ground. That's the thing that bothers
The
me.
Crusades were sponsored by the church. The Inquisitions were sponsored by the church. The witch hunts were sponsored by the church.
And here's another thing with the
This whole
Crusades.
hiding this ring of PDF files within the church. That's the money that you put into the basket every week is going for lawyers that are hiding the PDF files in the Catholic Church. How can anyone feel good about this institution?
But you see, Yoda, they've been doing this for a long time. Go back to the Crusades. The popes blessed them and absolved them beforehand for any crimes of the flesh they may commit, because they understood, quote unquote. So if you wanted to do grape, you wanted to have thing with minors and whatever you wanted to do, that was okay. The Pope blessed you because the larger mission was more important. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you didn't even
They
have a
blessed
choice
them.
about the minors because that's what God commanded. God literally told when I forget whether it was because he murked so many villages. I don't know if it was the Medianites, the the Canaanites, or the Mennonites. I forget which one, but God specifically said, "Murk the men, murk the women who had known men, and keep the women who had not known men for yourself."
Oh my God.
That's
That kind of
specific. And by
sound.
the way, this is not my fucking interpretation. It is clear as day that that is the command that God gives these people. In another battle, he commanded people to cast the infants upon the stone, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, this is in the fucking book. In the
And the
book.
and here, listen to the hypocrisy. You will have same Christians here would derisively talk about these so-called crazy Muslims overseas who think about they're going to have 30 virgins in thing when the, the Bible itself has very similar quote unquote instructions and dictates there.
Oh yeah. Well,
The hypocrisy
women were
is
property.
unbelievable.
Women were
The
property.
hypocrisy
So
is
if a
unbelievable.
man, let's say a man abused your daughter or your wife or something, all he had to do is pay you 50 shekels of silver and everything would be all right. Or sometimes you would have to force a young woman if she was, let's say, if she was a virgin and she was not engaged, then, if you raped her, all you had to do was marry her and that would be okay. So you would force women to marry their rapists. Lovely book. That's some real fucking old fashioned morality going on there, huh? The fuck out
And
of here with that shit.
they also used to have, I'm not sure if it, but remember they had a practice of quote unquote deflowering young girls.
Oh,
Remember
there's
that whole
been many
practice?
versions of that horror.
That, oh my God. And it was backed up by the Bible in some cases. A lot of places around the world, it was backed up.
Yeah.
So you had
I
men
mean,
going over the place,
what winds up
literally,
happening
man.
is that when you have a book that is so completely evil, and let me just also backtrack a moment. There are nuggets that you can take from the Bible. Like I like to cite the first thing I remember when I bought my first Bible at 23 is when I got to the part about Sermon on the Mount. I loved that Jesus said, put no, something like, do not think about the sins of tomorrow. The sins of today are sufficient among themselves, something like that. And
Mhm,
I thought, oh, I like that. That stay grounded, stay focused, stay present. I like that idea. That makes sense. But there's only a few of those nuggets in the Bible.
mhm.
And that's as much of a compliment as saying even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, agreed. Uh-huh. To be honest, man, I used to take pleasure when I was in college. I used to take pleasure when because I actually knew the Bible better than the Christian groups used to come around try to proselytize me.
Oh, yeah,
I used to love messing with them. I was like, okay, so how do you explain this?
right.
And I know the answer, and I knew however they commented, and I used to love watching their face. I used to watch. I used to take pride in the growing frustration
Yeah, yeah.
on their faces because they could not answer me. They could not intellectually. They could not beat me in any discussion because their raison d'être of approaching me, their reason, it has so many holes.
Well,
It's
look,
just
I
based
mean,
on
I
you just
don't
need to believe
mind.
it.
I
You
don't
just need to
mind
believe it because
proselytizers.
it says,
Yeah, I don't
because that's
mind.
because
I,
it is that is.
I don't mind zealots. I don't mind proselytizers because it's the same as if I ask you, did you see so and so film yet? And you say no. And I say, hey, I think it's excellent. I think you might like it. I'm
Oh, okay, yeah,
proselytizing, right?
yeah.
All I'm
Mm-hmm,
doing is I'm sharing something that I like with you because I think it's good and I think you might find it good. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, in my opinion, right?
mm-hmm,
But if I said, would you like to, I think you should go see this film. I think you'd enjoy this film. And you go, no, I don't want to see it. That's the end of the conversation as far as I'm
mm-hmm.
concerned.
But
The
they don't end it
moment the
there.
moment you push past that point, now you're being an asshole, right?
Mm-hmm,
And one of the things that I love to do, because I did do this one time and it was so much fun. It was a group of Jehovah's, 3 black women that came to my house. I won't tell the whole story because I've told it before, but the first question I asked them after I invited them in and sat them down, because they were there to tell me about, their version of Jesus Christ, right? And I said,
Mm.
before we begin, I just have one story for you. Do you believe that the Bible is literal? And they said yes. And I said, okay, go ahead. Please proceed. And I let them
Oh
talk
boy.
for 5 or 10 minutes. And then I said, so how many divorced people have you stoned until they stop breathing? And they were like, what? I said, you haven't done that? You haven't stoned someone and perished them from the
Mhm.
earth? And they said, well, no. I said, you're supposed to. All right? Leviticus, Deuteronomy, all those goofy fucking rules that are in there. I said, well, how about, and I took since they were black women, I took a risk here. I said, any of you like Red Lobster? Right? And they were like, what? And I said, well, if you go to Red Lobster, you don't eat like lobster or shellfish or crab or anything like that, do you? And they were looking at me like, what do you ask? I said, because, if you do, you're supposed to be stoned until you're gone.
Mhm.
And I said, oh, how about this? You probably know a young lady somewhere that has had schmecks out of wedlock, right? So
Mhm.
I assume that you found the elder males of the town and had them drag her to her father's doorstep and stone her in front of him. I assume you've all done that, right? And they were like, of course. And I said, but that's what the Bible says you're supposed to do. And then they were like, well, you're not supposed to
No,
say, and
you're
I
done.
said, I asked you 10 minutes ago if you thought the Bible was literal, and now you're trying to tell me it's not. See, this is the column A, column B bullshit that I hate. Like
And you know
either
something?
believe it or fucking don't. Don't try to deny it once I point out the shit that you forgot was in your fucking goofy book.
But then here's the thing. You said something a while ago, and if she's still listening, I wanna drive home the metaphor. You did something a while ago. Okay, you proselytize, and I said, nah, I don't want to see the movie, and you're going to insist. Now, if you're telling me, hey, basically, hey, you eat plants, you eat fruits and vegetables. Why don't you try some steak or some beef for a change? And I say, no, that's not my thing. I don't want that. And then you insist on saying, nah, but you should eat steak and beef. That's better. Now you're being an asshole.
Exactly.
AKA, how do you get the vegetarian to bask in the saline rapture of fucking meat? That's the point of my fucking metaphor.
Right?
If you're listening, woman,
No, she's not here.
right? Yeah.
She left. She left because, apparently this was the first time she ever dealt with a different opinion than hers.
And she
And by the way,
seemed, she,
she decided to come up and start this conversation. I was talking about that
mm,
beautiful experience that I had on Thursday, and then she
mhm.
decided to come up and start talking to me about fucking, God and how God does this and God does that. So I started asking her questions, and all she had is contradictions. She would be like, well, I didn't say that. I said, you literally just said that. Like, come on, let's stop being childish here. And then by the time you got here and she didn't want to let you fucking talk, I'm like, all right, why would you ask the man a question? And by the way, if you're really Christian and then you're a woman and you're talking to men, shut the fuck up. Because that's what the Bible tells you to do. How dare you talk when a man is talking?
Oh my lord. It's like,
And I'm not making that up. The Bible instructs women
no,
to be quiet when men are talking,
I'm telling you,
to
the
learn from
Bible,
men and do so quietly.
the Bible is one of the most misogynistic pieces
It's
of
horrifying.
literature
It's
ever.
absolutely
It's murder.
horrifying.
Like, let me say this. It's unalivingly misogynistic.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, I
It's
almost used the M
hateful.
word again.
Yeah, I know. It's hateful. It's judgmental. And listen,
It's
as
violent.
human beings, we have to judge because that's part of how we keep ourselves alive. We have
Mhm,
to judge other people's intentions and their energy to make sure that they're not there to hurt us.
mhm,
We have to have discernment. We have to figure things out in order to survive. So that kind of judgment I have no problem with. But to judge others and say you're wrong because you don't believe what I believe, that's fucking childish. Okay,
No,
that
the
is
thing
not
I
a
don't like of
sophisticated way to live, and instructions like that coming from a supposed omniscient, omnipotent being sound goofy to me.
and the thing I don't get too, right? They talk about like going back to it being literal. They talk about God doing these things and these great feats. Jesus did these great feats. Why is it we don't see these great feats today?
Hey
Why aren't they
man,
documented
no
today?
souls saved after 5, baby.
I'm just like looking at it's violently nihilistic and
Yeah.
and actually genocidal, to
Oh,
be honest.
constant. That
I mean,
that's
I
the
mean,
biggest
like,
theme. That's the biggest running theme in the Bible is
hold
genocide.
on, hold on. In the Bible with Noah,
Yeah,
Noah presided over the G side of the entirety of mankind
except for
up
eight
to that
people.
point.
Except for eight people,
Yes,
right?
that's a G side.
It was him, his 3 sons, and their 4 wives. And by the way, doesn't that mean that the earth was repopulated through incest?
Stop that. Stop that.
I
You see
mean,
now,
I hate to bring facts into this conversation,
but you
but
see, unfortunately, that that explains why in Florida these MAGA uber Christiany folks were happy that a law outlawing incest actually failed in in their state their state in the Senate. You know, they were actually happy it did. So I guess they're keeping to what's in the Bible, right? They were exuberant that it failed. And they were exuberant that a law outlawing incest failed. And why? Because the Democrats were pushing the law. And they have no sense of how that looks. You're so anti the libs, anti black and brown people that no matter how grotesque and disgusting and awful the opposite is, because the Democrats or black people and the libs or women are on one side, you have to take the opposite side. And you call yourself good and loving Christians.
yeah, and it's so weird because I mean, Christ made it very, very clear that we are to love the immigrants. We are to welcome the immigrant into our homes. We are to feed and clothe the immigrants. But I guess they just forgot that part.
Yeah, it's another part of the Bible they just conveniently forgot about now, right? They just forgot about that shit.
Oops.
It
Because
is
here's the thing,
absolutely.
Island Boy, it is so easy to say, I'm a Christian. Look, I just said it. I'm a Christian. Anybody can say that shit. And by the way, I don't think that's a good thing to say. Okay?
Mhm.
But if you do, if you're like, well, I'm a follower of Christ, so I'm a Christian, but what are you doing to live as Christ instructed in some areas? And we're going to avoid all the shitty things that Christ said. Like it's best if you hate yourself in order to make it better to follow me. It's best if you hate your family in order to make it better to follow me. We're going to
Sacrifice your
ignore that
firstborn.
shit. Yeah, we're going to ignore
Sacrifice
that.
your firstborn
Yeah,
in
yeah,
order to
we're
follow
we're we're
me.
gonna we're gonna ignore that every April we celebrate the murking of the firstborn of the children of Egypt. We're gonna ignore that. Okay, we're gonna ignore that
You
while
know,
Christ
you
walked
know, there are
on water,
parallels.
Peter walked on water right next to him. We're gonna ignore that. Okay, but
You
like
know what's crazy?
if you wanna just focus on the good things that Christ said, then why aren't you living that way?
As you said, it's not a good idea to say, "Oh, I'm a Christian," and throw that out there as some kind of like, some kind of shield, some kind of thing to in front of you. Just
Yeah.
like I've literally heard, and I swear to God, I've never heard black and brown Americans say this when they're overseas. Only whitey Americans I've literally heard. I was in Italy, and I witnessed some white Americans in the hotel having a disagreement, a loud disagreement with the hotel staff, and these these whitey Americans says, "Oh, you can't do that to me. I'm an American," and I'm just like. No, you think that you think that helps your case? It's almost like when you want to say I'm a Christian. No, that doesn't help your case. You say you're a Christian and you follow this brand, your King James version of the Bible. It's filled with so much literal sangre and so much violence and nihilism. Saying that you're a Christian is not a good look. Don't say that. No, unless not unless you're
And
willing to
again, if
justify all of the horrible shit,
but
right?
if you
Then
believe
saying
it
that is not
is,
a good idea.
let's say they're a typical Christian that never really reads the Bible. They just listen to what the guy in the beautiful dress at the front of the room says on Sundays, and you believe in your heart that being a Christian is a good thing. Then why aren't you living that way? By the way, the Watcher, I invited you up. You said it's right there in black and white to love thy neighbor, red and white if you have King James. Yeah, but it says love thy neighbor as you love thyself, so that's already subjective, right? That's not a very clear instruction. Let's say, let's say, Island Boy Pundit loves his neighbor at a 10 out of 10 level because he loves himself out of 10 out of 10, so he loves his neighbors at a 10 out of 10. And I love myself at an 8 out of 10, so I'm going to love my neighbor as an 8 out of 10. So that's subjective. That's not really good advice to give people.
Yeah. Hey, but Yoda, I've got to drop down now, right? I've been thinking. I just wanted to come up and say
I'm
I've
glad you
listened to your
did.
lives now and again. It's just like I heard her doing her thing up there. I was just like, I was gonna come up and ask her some questions because I knew she wouldn't be able to
She didn't
answer it.
she
It
didn't
was
have any
just,
good answers to my questions, so she wouldn't have had good answers to your questions.
I mean, you know how I roll too.
All right, brother. Always
Yeah.
great to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, man. Have a good one. Have a good
All
night,
right.
man.
Bye.
All right. All right.
All right, folks. I invited the Watcher up, um, but only because I was interested in the comment that you were leaving. If anybody else wants to come up, we can. Otherwise, I can wrap it up. Let me see if I missed. I probably missed a lot of things. The Watcher says yes, but they don't even agree on that fact. They don't agree on a lot of things. Let's see. Thank you, everybody that sent me heart me's. I appreciate that. If anybody wants to gobble up the 50 roses that are up there, that would be cool. Right, the Watcher says if if you are really the true God, you wouldn't have to threaten your followers. I mean, yeah. Barsky's here. Did I get that in time? Yes, I did. Barsky, 2 nights in a row, people will talk.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, man, we, what an event.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. So yeah, we you missed the fireworks earlier. People
No,
coming.
I think I missed the end part because I do remember I joined in, and I know that there was a very, from what I heard, a fairly pleasant discussion about.
It started off that way. By the way, thank you, Island Boy, for the gifts. Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, it started. We were having a pleasant discussion, and a woman decided to come up here and try to tell me about God. And unfortunately, I knew more about him than she did.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I must have missed the fireworks then. Yeah.
Yeah, and what normally happens with people, because there are there's two types of chronology that can befall a human being, in my opinion. And this is a
Sure.
gross oversimplification, but it speaks to my overall point. You can grow older, but that doesn't mean that your maturity is going to match your chronology. All right, everybody grows older, but some people are giant toddlers. And the
Yep.
way that you can easily spot a giant toddler is if they get upset if you have a different opinion than theirs. There is never a reason to be upset let me say almost never reason to be upset at a different opinion. If
Yeah.
your opinion is that you're allowed to bang 6-year-olds, yeah, I'm going to get upset by that. But
Yep.
in normal conversation, if you like vanilla and I like chocolate, you like the Yankees, I like the Mets, there's no reason to be upset by that. You know,
Agreed.
if you want to discuss the idea, if you want to add substance to your idea, to your opinion, and discuss it, we can do that. But if you can't have a reasonable conversation just because I'm proving your position to be ridiculous, then you're not a fucking adult. Okay?
Well,
I am proven wrong a lot. Well, not a lot. I'm pretty smart. I'm proven wrong once in a while. And I
right.
welcome that, because if I'm proven wrong, that means I now have an opportunity to improve my knowledge. I
Well,
don't
and
see the reason to have a fucking breakdown over it.
that's the big thing is like people who are seeking knowledge. Like, for me, like whenever I'm on your lives, dude, like it's like, holy shit, like I am learning some very awesome information,
Yeah, and
and
usually I have great panels of people that offer great insights into things, and we all get to kind of stimulate our brains and improve our thought process and shit. I think that's all good.
the fact that it's 10:30 here in Wisconsin right now. I got done with work about a half an hour ago, and the same thing happened last night. When I jumped in, I'm like, this is a very nice stimulation to get away from what the fuck I've been doing. And as working in a restaurant is. Um, it's a nice stimulation, but it's also like just general pleasant conversation. You know,
That's what I like to do.
you and
Uh,
I have always had really nice
yeah.
conversations.
Jose Gomez logic. I'm sorry. Jose Gomez asked me, how did I become an atheist? My answer is logic and reason overtook me.
I'd I'm just gonna touch this on like religion. Like when it comes to me, like I would say if I were to give myself like a label, I guess, very heavily agnostic. Um, I'm open to hearing what other people have to say, and that is my own like thought process. There is something that happened that created everything. I don't know if it is a deity. I don't know if it is a Big Bang, but that's where I'm at.
And
And I'm
and I don't know is a perfectly reasonable position to be in, because of
thank you.
course we have a long list of unanswered questions. So
Yes,
of course not. So Jose, how you doing, man?
Yes, I'm doing fine, man. I like your live. I like your platform. You
Thank
are a
you.
very calm person, and I respect you and I respect your worldview. I am a Christian, but I don't see any way to conceive the universe unless it's a creator.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can you explain me your position in that sense?
Well, I mean, it's very close to your position, except I haven't reached the conclusion that you have. My conclusion is I don't know who created the universe or what created the universe. You've concluded that
But
it's a creator, and that's fine. I have not reached that conclusion.
but you believe the universe has been there forever, or did
I
you
I
did it
I
start
I
at
I
one time?
I believe that I don't know, because forever is a concept, right? So I don't know if the universe has always been here or if there was something going on. Because here's what science says.
Okay.
Science says that before the Big Bang, the universe was in a hot, dense state. But that doesn't mean that the Big Bang was the beginning of everything, because we don't know what was going on before the hot, dense state. So I'm okay with that answer, which is I don't know. We can trace things back to the Big Bang, but we can't go beyond that so far. So that's an I don't know. And you're saying that you know, and that's fine too.
Okay, science, the atheists believe the universe has been there forever. Nobody created the universe until 1920 when they put the Hubble telescope and they find out about the expansion of the universe. And that it says the universe began to exist. And they come with the theory of the Big Bang.
Right?
You agree?
Yeah, so far that's exactly what I just described.
The thing is that we don't know who initiate or who fired the
Right.
Big Bang.
Right. We don't know.
Okay. Now, another question is this. I believe that God did the Big Bang. Okay. But how the matter and energy bring life? It is impossible.
What's your evidence? What's your evidence that it's impossible?
Because material and energy doesn't create life.
Oh, that's a theory. What's the evidence for that?
But you think that the matter and energy will create life?
You instead of answering the question with a question, start by answering, giving an answer. So,
okay,
what is your evidence for saying that energy can't create life?
But Genesis says organism create another organisms.
Genesis says that?
Yeah.
That's you're quoting from the Bible now?
No. Let's see. Is that homogenesis? Homogenesis, if I pronounce it right? That says
Genesis means the beginning.
No.
Do you mean geneticists? People that study genes?
No.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Biogenesis. Did I pronounce it right?
I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Go ahead and try to explain it, and maybe I'll figure it out.
Let me see. I have to check the word that I'm thinking about. But it says organism create another organisms.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And so, to conceive that the material and the energy will create an organism, it is impossible.
Says who?
But do you think?
Says who? You're making a claim. Listen, here's the thing. I'm listening very carefully to your question, to your statements. You're making a statement, right?
Okay.
And then I'm asking you, what is the source material that proves your statement? So I can say my unicorn runs the universe, right? If I say that, you're going to ask me to prove that. So then it becomes my responsibility to prove what I just said. So when you make a statement, I'm asking you for proof of that statement.
But no, there is no. I don't think there is any evidence that I can show you.
Okay, so then it's a theory, and that's fine.
It's a theory, yeah. But the only thing that I know it is, all these things, there is in Christianity, we cannot prove scientifically the things that we believe.
Mm-hmm. That's why I love science so much, because science proves everything that it claims.
But science cannot prove how the universe became.
But that doesn't mean. That's a silly response, because you just told me that Christianity or religion cannot prove anything that it claims, and I told you the reason I love science is that it proves everything that it claims. That doesn't mean science can prove everything. We already acknowledge that there is a list of unanswered questions, but when science makes a claim, it only does so by proving the claim, and that's far superior for me to religion. Are there any answers that science doesn't, are there any questions that science doesn't have answers to that religion does have answers to? No. Are there any questions that science has answered that religion has answered better? No. So I'm sticking with science.
Yeah, no, religions cannot prove anything. It's
Right,
only,
which is why I find religion useless.
yeah, it's only evidence, historical evidence.
There is
put
no
it that way.
historical evidence of the Bible.
What about the Old Testament? How
about it?
God created,
What about
the
it?
world,
What about it?
how God created the world in
What
5
about
days.
it? What about it? Is
Well,
that supposed to be proof of something? Is what's written in the Bible supposed to be proof of something?
no, you have to believe in the Bible in order to,
Right.
yeah.
That's what faith does. Faith is believing something without evidence. I don't run my life like that.
So you don't have faith in anything concerning the Bible.
No, what the Bible tells me is I need to run around stoning people who don't agree with this philosophy, who do things that in God's eyes are bad, like wear the wrong mix of fabric or eat shellfish. I'm supposed to end those people's lives. I'm supposed to end my brother's life if he doesn't believe the way
Well,
I
no,
do.
no, no.
I am supposed, excuse me?
Be specific.
No,
Who's
no, I
gonna
am,
stone people?
listen.
Uh-huh.
If I know the Bible, I am telling you what the Bible says. And what, if you want to disprove what I'm saying, then I'll start bringing up chapter and verse, but I think that's so fucking boring. But here, how about this? Let me give you a great story from the Bible. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful story of God's love. Let's see. Let's go to Judges 11. The 1 through 29 are kind of boring, so I don't want to read 1 through 29, but I'm going to read 30 through 40, which is 11 sections, and it's the entire context, because sometimes I'm accused of quoting things out of context. So Judges 11 is the story of Jephthah, okay? 30s. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I don't need the interjections, whatsoever comes forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from Aroer, even till thou come to Minnith, even 20 cities, and unto the plain of the vineyards, with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. And Jephthah came to Mizpeh unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels, with dances, and she was his only child. Beside her he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass, when he saw her, that he rent his clothes and said, alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low, and thou art one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. And she said unto him, my father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth. For as much as the Lord hath taken vengeance for thee of thine enemies, even of the children of Ammon. And she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains, and bewail my virginity, I and my followers. And he said, Go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow which he had vowed, and she knew no man. And it was a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite 4 days in a year. What a beautiful story of God's love, letting a man murk his only child just because he made the vow to do so. Isn't that
Yeah, but
beautiful? Isn't that a
well,
wonderful
okay.
story? Hey,
Okay, I have it.
Barsky, does that sound like a beautiful story of God's love to you?
It sounds like no, it does not sound beautiful. I was
Yeah.
trying
No,
to
it's
I was
not.
trying to be clever, but like no.
Jose, what does that sound like to you, that
No, no,
story?
it's not beautiful. No, it's
Okay.
something that is Jephthah
Yeah.
who wrote about this about the daughter.
Hmm.
I think it is a foolishness thing
So why
to
didn't
say
God
to the
stop
Lord.
him? Why didn't God stop him? Why didn't God say to Jephthah, "Hey man, this is a dumb vow. Like anything could, your
Yeah,
wife could come out, your daughter could come out, your dog could come out. Like, why are you doing this? I don't need this. Why wouldn't God intervene and help him out?"
I don't know. It's
Yeah, it's just, yeah, you know why? Because God is
uh,
fucked up. That's why. You think that's the only story like that in the Bible? There's dozens of them just like that, and far worse, where God commands horrible shit that people do to each other, that God does horrible shit to people. Remember the story of Noah's Ark? What did God do in the story of Noah's Ark?
the incest. You're talking about the
What? No, no, no.
incest
What?
after.
Tell me the beginnings. What's the beginning of the story? Where did it start? God flooded the earth, right? Why did he do that?
Well, because how evil there was in the
Because
land,
evil.
and that's
Sure.
why he did that. But
Sure.
after
So
they
he
come
so
out,
he that means he murked everybody, including men, women, the elderly,
yeah,
children, infants. He murked everybody except a family of 8. According to
right,
science, or if you look at the year 1, there were roughly as many as 400 million people on planet Earth. But let's be conservative. Let's say there were 10 million people on Earth. That means almost all of those 10 million people, including infants, were drowned because God was displeased and he left a family of 8 together. And now, because that family of 8 was Noah, his 3 sons, and their 4 wives. And now we get to the incest part. But before we
right.
got to incest, we got to the murking of the entire planet. That's okay? That sounds good? That sounds moral?
No, it's not moral. No, uh, but I mean, it's it's God, and we are not God.
Yeah, I'm
God
better
can do
than God.
whatever.
I'm better than God because I wouldn't let someone sacrifice someone to me. I wouldn't command people to cast infants on the stones. I wouldn't command people to murk everybody and take the virgins for themselves. I wouldn't command people to do crazy shit like that. Okay? So I'm better than God.
Well, I don't know. He is the Almighty, and we are
And
not.
he sucks. How could he be almighty? Why did he make animals carnivores when he made some of them herbivores? He could have made everyone, including humans, herbivores, so there would be no violence required every day to eat. Why didn't he do that?
Like I say, there is some things in the Bible that
And now
you
you're
cannot
comfortable with I
explain.
don't know suddenly, huh? Isn't that interesting?
Well, in
Isn't
that
that
sense, I am
interesting?
like you. No,
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
sense, I
You
like
were
you.
very confident when you first came up here about what was real and what wasn't, and suddenly, I don't know is a very acceptable answer. Oh, it's God's doing. We don't know how God works. Now I don't know is good, right?
And, I try to be honest with you.
And
There
I'm
is
glad
some
and I'm glad you were, and I was honest in return. Listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you. You can believe
uh,
anything you want to believe, but the version of God that is presented to us in the Bible is a sociopath, amoral piece of shit. Okay? Because an all-powerful being would not need you to commit violence in his name. An all-powerful being would not allow 20,000 children to starve every night to the end of their life. Okay? That's not all-powerful to me.
Well, it's also evil exists,
And
and then
God created evil. He says so in the Bible.
yeah,
So evil is God.
he
Listen,
creates
you're
good
not
and
going to
evil.
catch me on any of this shit. I know this fucking source material very well. Okay?
Why you don't take only the good things of God and
Like what?
forget about the
Like what?
evil things?
I'll give credit for good things. I love that women have vajayjays. They feel fantastic when I slide into them. I love I love the sound of children laughing. I think it's the most wonderful sound in the world. I love flowers. I love birds and trees and shit like that. But I don't think God did that. But in the Bible, what it describes God to do, like that's like saying, hey, Schmittler was fucked up, but he had a dog. Well, give me the list of good things that God did. What's the? I mean, he lied to Eve. I mean that. So he starts off. This is his story. The first story of the Bible that introduces the religion to us proves to us that God is a liar. So go ahead, tell me all the great stuff about God.
Well, I can tell you about my personal life as a Christian. You know,
I
I
don't.
respect.
That's not what we're talking about. If I had asked you about you, that would be an appropriate response. But I asked you to tell me about God.
That's what I say. You know, God is very good with me.
Oh, so fuck everybody else, right? Hey, he was good
No,
to
no,
you.
no, no,
So fuck
no,
everybody else that he was all fucked up to, right?
no. I think that God is good with a lot of people. It depends how
Yeah.
we
So
act
so
in
so
this
let me ask you
world.
something. How good
Yeah.
is he to the 20,000 children every night that perish from starvation? How good is he to those children?
But some of the countries they are in starvation because by the way they believe. Like for example, you go to
Oh,
India, there's
so
a
their
lot of
beliefs are more powerful than God then.
no because they have
They must be. They must be because God doesn't prevent this. So they must be more powerful than God.
no because they are idolatries. They have so many
So
gods.
they are more powerful than God.
I cannot say there is more powerful than God.
Well,
It's
then
just
why
that
doesn't God prevent it then?
it's just a personal thing that they do.
Why doesn't God prevent it from happening?
Because we have a free will.
Oh,
We
we
can
do?
do
We
good
do?
or bad.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Uh-huh.
If I hold a weapon to your temple and I
Mm,
say to you, your money or your life, I'm giving you a choice, right?
right.
Right? But is that choice under duress and coercion?
It's a question, yes.
Okay. So if you say believe in me or you'll go to hell, that's a choice, isn't it? But isn't it the same coercion?
Um,
Yeah, let's try to
mm,
pretzel logic this one.
okay. It's no, okay. Free will
There
is,
is no such thing as free will if you're talking about God. If you're talking about the reality of humans, yes, we have free will, but God did not give us free will. God gave us a choice to believe or perish and suffer for eternity.
well, it's like I say, it's a personal thing. You want to
That doesn't
disobey.
mean anything. That doesn't mean anything, dude. Listen, I appreciate that you were open-minded enough to have this conversation, but the things you're saying are childish. Okay? You're trying to paint a picture that is contrary to the very book that you believe in. Okay? God made himself perfectly known. If God exists, he told us his nature in the book. And if he really does exist, I'd love to tell him to his face that he's a piece of shit. But I'm not going to get that opportunity because there is no evidence of God anywhere.
Well, this is your worldview. It's this.
You don't have to tell me that. I already know that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
All
thank
right.
you for this.
Absolutely. Have a great night. Thanks.
You too.
Okay. I had no idea this was going to turn into this tonight, but fuck it. I'm fired up.
Goodness.
I got caffeine and calories in me, man. I'm ready to go.
Dude, you had him on the fucking rails.
Because the beauty of their position is that it's indefensible. They cannot defend the logic of what I'm saying because I'm using the source material that they claim is like the shit.
Well, when you were reading that scripture, and I read, I was like 10 years old when I read the Bible, and I don't remember that scripture that you read. And I was sitting there going like, I 100% trust the fact that you are actually reading the scripture. And I'm like, holy fucking shit.
And anyone that
And
doesn't believe me can just go to the Bible and look it up and see if I embellished even one word of that. That's directly from the King James Version. And that's the thing. If there were no book, then they would have a better leg to stand on.
Yeah.
But don't try to tell me that what I see in the book isn't what the fuck I'm seeing in the book. Because that's what they try to do. They try to tell me, oh no, well, that's the Old Testament. So what? Jesus specifically said that he came here to maintain the old laws. Okay? So,
Yep.
Jesus is love. Oh, yeah? Have you read everything Jesus said and did? Because you wouldn't say that if you did. See, I have the advantage, and I know this. I know this for a fact. Most of the people, I know it's not all the people, but I would say the vast majority of the believers that I have debated in my life over roughly the last 45 years of my life have not read the Bible as much as I have. I read the Bible because if I'm going to debate someone, I want to know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Right.
And then, much to my dismay, I found out that I knew more about the book than the people that base their life on it.
Right.
That claim to base their life on it. They really don't. But you're claiming to base your life on this fucking book, and I know it better than you do? That's embarrassing.
Well, and that's why I kind of like with this last little fracas that was going on. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, like last night, um, which is kind of a weird thing for me to say, like, oh yeah, Yoda and I spent the night together last night. But it was like the same thing. Like I sit there, I listen, I interject when I have something to say. Um, and when it comes to, religion and my entire life, it's been very much like I, as long as you're not trying to be an asshole to me, like with what you believe and
Yeah.
all that stuff, and if you can just like sit there and like listen to what I have to say and whatever, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're
And that's why
good.
he was up here as long as he was, and the conversation came to a natural end, is because he was a reasonable person that could have a reasonable conversation. Dr.
Yeah.
Benstone said something interesting. Council of Nicaea is hard to defend. They left out a lot. Yeah, that's an understatement. Between the oldest known text of the Bible, which is referred to as the Sinai text, and the King James Version, there are over 13,000 omissions. Okay? That's a lot.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
That's a lot. Because I find it ironic that the most popular version of the Bible is what a king commissioned. Does nobody think a king has a fucking agenda?
Well,
Come on, folks. Like, let's put our adult thinking caps on once in a while. You know, I
Yep.
know it's compelling to listen to the guy in the beautiful dress standing in front of the church. He sounds so confident. He sounds so lovely, and so you can leave the church thinking that you learned something today, but you've never asked, does this shit make sense? Like when, like, you know, I refer to the most consistent stories that are told in church as the Bible's greatest hits. You know, because if you go to church for a year, and it's the first time you're going to church, you're going to hear some great stories. But once you get to year two, you're going to realize that those are the only stories they tell. All right.
Yeah.
And they tell it in a way that's manipulative. Like they'll say, hey, Barsky, I'm going to tell you about God's love, and I'm going to use a story of Job to illustrate this. So the devil makes a bet with God, and apparently God is a gambling man because he took that bet. And the bet was that the devil claimed that he could make his most faithful follower turn away from him. And God said, well, there he is. There's Job. That guy is into me more than any other of these talking monkeys. So go ahead and try to dissuade him. And I'll tell you what, fuck him up as much as you want. Torture him, blind him, fill his skin with pestilence, fill his body with disease, take away his family, murk his servants, murk his livestock, take away his home, his money, his property, take all of that shit. And the devil does that. And Job is like, nope, I'm still with you, God. And God's like, ha, I win. I'll tell you what, Job, I'll give you everything back. But apparently God forgot to bring the servants back. And I made sure when I read that to read it over again to make sure that I didn't miss that. When they list off all the things that God returned to Job, they did not include the servants. So that means God allowed the servants to be perished just to win a bet with the devil, and he allowed Job to be tortured in the most horrible ways just to win a bet with the devil. And they go, isn't that a great story of God's love? And I go, what in the fuck are you talking about?
If I was Job, I'd be like, this motherfucker. Like
Yeah.
that kind of, like this motherfucker. He's about to catch hands.
Dude, if the devil gave me a paper cut, I'm like, okay, we're done. I'm going with you. Fuck this other guy.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and they do that over and over again. All these stories are presented by front loading them with meaning rather than let's read this whole story word for word and see what it really says. That's what very few Christians do that I've met. I can only represent the pool of people that I've dealt with. I can't make any further claims than that. But
Sure.
I've been having this conversation for 4 fucking decades. And these people don't know more than I do about the Bible. It's shocking.
Well, I mean, it's funny because like I think about my grandmother on my mom's side who's not with us anymore. I still love her and I miss her every single day.
Sure.
She was when she passed, I was 22. And we had a very close relationship because she and my mom are from Brazil. My dad is from Wisconsin. And they met up, and for the first 5 years of my life, my grandmother watched over me. She was like the living nanny, and she was very like a lot of Brazilians are very devout Catholic and very, very faithful. And the amount of times that my grandmother, for a majority of my life, was giving me, like you said, the very nice, the good stories of the Bible. Revelations came up a lot. And it was
Revelations is the good parts of the Bible? Holy shit.
well,
Revelations is the craziest part of the Bible.
Well, it was more the
Which
way.
by the way is another indictment against how the New Testament changes everything. No, it doesn't. In the New Testament, in Timothy, there's instructions for how to manage slaves, and that revelation is fucking pure craziness. It doesn't sound
I,
like any other part of the Bible, and clearly someone was smoking something when they wrote the fucking Revelation.
and I might have my scriptures mixed up because it's been a long time. But when it came to my grandmother, who was also much older, she when she passed away, she was like 95, I want to say. Um, Always very devout Catholic, very devout, but she pushed it on me a little bit when I was very young, but she also knew when to stop. So I don't remember a lot of it. But when it came down to like myself now, I look back and I think like I understand that that is what she believed, and I, it made her happy,
Was she a
and
good person?
she was. You would have loved her.
That's all that matters.
You would have loved her. She.
The reason why I don't care what anyone believes is because belief cannot affect real life.
Yeah.
Now, belief can affect your behavior, and then your behavior can affect real life. But no matter what it is you believe, it can't it can't do anything to anybody. So you can believe, like you can believe that there's a group of people on earth that don't deserve to be here.
Yep.
But if every time you meet one of those people, you hug them, that's the fucking important part. It's
Yeah.
weird, but the behavior is what's important.
Yeah. And the fact that like well, first of all, my grandmother, who was just, if you've ever spent any time with like a Brazilian family, it's very much like an Italian family where if you're going to go there, they're going to feed you. And you were going to get fed with the whole family. If oh, I don't know if I really like this or if this isn't what I eat, they're going to find something for you to enjoy, and you have like jovial conversations.
Yeah,
You know,
pretty much everyone I've met has been like that.
you're
I know
right.
everyone thinks it's their culture only that does that, but everybody does that.
Everybody has their own factions. Yeah, I mean, like hell. I mean,
Like I love
uh,
it when people are like, "Oh, my culture is special because we love food." I'm like, who doesn't fucking love food? Or my culture's really into family. Oh, really, Sparky? Like what which culture isn't?
party.
You know what I mean? Like, but
Oh,
people say that shit all the time, but that's part of the propaganda. Like, oh, my culture's special because blah blah blah. You're listing off the shit that everybody does.
well, I mean, even like when it comes to like sharing like food, like sharing dinner with someone, like the very fact that like either Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, like honestly for me, like there's always like it's the stereotypical like either the ham or the turkey, but honestly, I'm at a point where I'm like looking at like the vegetable platter, whether somebody has like and I actually 2 months ago we had a very late Mother's Day quote unquote celebration with my close friends and my wife, um and we actually made it primarily vegetarian, um because it's a very much farmers market season here in Wisconsin, and we went to the farmers market. There's I mean, the amount of vegetables that were just gorgeous. Nobody pitched a fit at all with the fact that I was like, "No, we don't have a ham. We don't
Well,
have a
they
turkey."
that's because they weren't there for the food; they were there for the people.
And that was the thing. It was like everybody was having fun, like we were eating
Yeah,
food and the kids
exactly.
are playing around. The kids are playing around, like, my 4-year-old and like the 5-year-old and the 3-year-old are all playing. It was much like togetherness, and there was like a sense of like because we come from different factions of beliefs, and I will never pretend to be an expert, but I go off of like, are we having a good time and you are being a respectful human being to me? Absolutely. Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Let's hang out for like 5
All of
hours.
this other shit is all made up bullshit. Like, you know, I have this habit of boiling down things to their essence as much as I can figure out how to do. And when I think about human beings, I know for a fact that there's only one race of people. All right. And that fact emerges whether you believe in a deity or whether you believe in science. We're all one race. That's why I joke I don't believe in interracial relationships. I stick to the human race. Right.
Sure.
And I know that we all are born with the same software installation. Now, there are some lemons that roll off the lot, but the vast majority of us are exactly the same in terms of our foundation, right? We all need physical touch. We are a very social species, and physical touch is important to us. So hugging, holding hands, all of those things make us feel wonderful. We all want the safety of sleeping where predators can't get to us, which in modern times means indoors, right? We all want to sleep indoors. We all want to eat when we're hungry, right? And at a certain point, the only thing you want on top of that, well, you also want to, be around loved ones and friends and stuff like that. And on top of all that, at a certain age, you start wanting to have orgasms once in a while. And not just by yourself. You want other people to participate in that, right? That's humans, as far as I can tell, right? The pigmentation, that's about how close to the equator is your country, okay? The different eye shapes, the difference, all of that other shit, these are so superficial. In fact, in all DNA, only 1/100th of a percent of our DNA is what produces the superficial differences in humans. Eye shape, bone structure, skin tone, all of that shit. 1/100th of a percent. And that's what people spend most of their times focusing on. That's sad. We have so much in common. We all want the same things. And yet we act like we're different.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah.
And once we figure it out, the world will change. Until then, it ain't. If we figure it out, I think there's two components to what will make everything, and maybe one feeds off the other. I'm not sure, but one is recognizing that there's just one race of people and we're all the same. That would be a good foundation. After that, if everyone had compassion, 99.99% of the world's problems would go away. Because it's a lack of compassion that allows people to see people suffering and do nothing about it, or worse, contribute to the problem. It's a lack of compassion that makes you go, fuck them, they deserve what they get. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which is such a stupid saying. People think that means be self-sufficient. No, it started off as sarcasm. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps comes from the book from Baron Munchausen, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. And in part of the book, he pulls himself out of a body of water by his own collar. And that transmuted to bootstraps. Like, you literally can't pull yourself out of a hole or a body of water by your own collar, and you can't literally pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. So when people give that advice, it's dumb.
I have
And
always hated the idea of of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, or rub some dirt on it, it'll be okay,
Yeah.
or just like dust it off.
Well,
Like goodness no.
that's the brainwashing boys get. But Dr. Ben Stone, you said sounds like faith, Yoda. What, I'm not sure which part of what I said sounded like faith. But, you know, communication is in the ear of the listener. So if you thought I said something about faith, cool. Um, anyway, what do you got on tap for the rest of the weekend?
Uh, for me,
Yeah.
I so let me see. I worked a pretty good shift today. I'm working tomorrow, and it- working a 6-day work week is not very fun, but it. I don't do it every. I don't do it every week, so I'm not offended by it, and I'm gonna be taking some time off very soon to take off with the wife and the kid. And I
Now
actually
he's coming up on 5, right?
he's gonna be 5 in November.
Right.
Yeah. Um,
And are you still involved in a marathon?
yep. I'm gonna be running the Madison Marathon in November, November 15th. And my son, he was actually asking me, when am I running? I'm like, it's in November. And he goes, Daddy, is that my birthday? And I'm like, well, November 3rd. Yep, that's your birthday, bud. And he goes, are you running a marathon for my birthday? And I was like, yes, yes, sir,
Oh,
I am.
there you go. Now you're roped in.
Yep, yep. I'm sunk in, and man, it's just amazing. This little kid,
Yeah.
he wants to come and watch. He wants to. He was asking me to. He was like, "Daddy, can I run a marathon with you?" And I'm like, "When we get a little older, sure, absolutely. I might be a little bit slower, but hey, let's do it." Um,
In just a few years, he's by the time he gets to 7, he's going to probably be most of what he ever will be in terms of his personality and stuff.
yeah,
And
yep,
and that's when it gets interesting, I think. Like, I mean, I loved every age my son was. He's 41 now, but I remember the very early times, pre-verbal, all that shit. And it's all fascinating, but once they can really express themselves through language, it becomes very interesting.
that's what I'm really looking forward to, because I when my wife and I were realizing, holy shit, we have a tiny itty bitty human. Um, my wife knows my background, that I have with my father, and we were talking. And I said, I just want to get myself to a position where my son wants to talk to me
Yeah.
ab-
No, I
about
had
stuff.
that. I had that. It's a
About
beautiful thing. Hold on one second. Hey, folks, we have 17 people in here and we're at 96,000. Tap your asses off. Let's get me to 100,000, please. Let me tell you, one of the greatest aspects of my life is that uh, my son and I lived together when he was an adult. He moved in right before COVID. Oops, C-19. Uh,
Yep.
this was before we knew it was going to happen, but it just was the timing of it. Right before C-19 came in, it was like sometime in 2019. I think it was the fall, but he moved in, and we thought it was going to be very, very brief, but he wound up being here like 6 years.
Oh,
And it
okay.
was so beautiful because, at a certain point, hopefully, a father will understand that it's not about father and son. It's two dudes talking, right? And, you know, to see the fruit of your labor, because it's going to take you about 30 years to figure out if you've raised him the right way. Right?
Fair
So
enough.
it's one of those long-term investments, right? And you just cross your fingers because you could be an Ivy League family and produce Ted Bundy. You know what I mean? So like, so it's always a crapshoot, and you do the best you can. Like my main goal was to make him a critical thinker, and thankfully I accomplished that goal. And so to sit down with this man who I helped bring into the world and have these 2-3 hour conversations about life and about women and philosophy and science and religion and all the shit that I talk about routinely here, music, he's a phenomenal rapper. So, and I got to see all that happen, and it's such an amazing thing. And like I said, every part of it is great, even when they're telling you fuck off because you're an asshole, you don't know anything. All of it is great. I mean, he never said that to me, otherwise I would have knocked him the fuck out. But
I was gonna say, yeah, you're not gonna
they
let.
give you that attitude,
You're
and
right.
but we already know they're going to do that, right? So like, why be upset about it? This is coming. You know that you were that way, right? So it enabled me to sit back and just enjoy the ride. I mean, I've said this before, I'll say it again, and then we'll end with this idea. Like, fatherhood to me is the worst job and the best job ever at the same time, because you're constantly terrified that something bad is going to happen to them, and you're going to witness bad things happen to them. But there is no greater reward than being, a father to a child that turns out decent.
And if I could actually like tack one thing onto
Sure.
that, because I 100% agree.
Thank you for
I
getting me to 100,000, folks. I appreciate that.
Woohoo! I 100% agree with all that. I also think that fatherhood, parenthood is a really big opportunity to make things right and break the cycles.
That was part of my goal.
Uh,
I
yep,
was completely dissatisfied with how my mother raised me because she was an awful mother.
yep.
And I vowed not to raise my son that way, and I succeeded.
And that's where I'm oh, Jesus Christ. Yoda, what are you doing to me? No, it's really one of those things where it's just like sometimes I get a little bit loud with my son, and I hear my father,
Yeah.
and it hurts, but I also sit there and I know that I do get that loud sometimes,
Look, man, you're you're
but
gonna you're gonna make 100 mistakes a year minimum.
right, you
So
know,
just accept that, right? But what the important thing is to acknowledge the mistake to your child and
yep,
give them an opportunity to tell you how they feel about it.
yep,
See, those are two things that I never got, right? Like, look, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you've been a child psychologist for 50 years. You're going to fuck up with your children. You're going to make mistakes.
yep.
Some mistakes are worse than others, so it's a sliding scale, but you're going to fuck up. You're going to say hurtful things, you're going to do hurtful things, you're going to make mistakes. But it's how you handle the aftermath of the mistake that really to me becomes the most important thing. Because my
That's where
mother
I'm at.
my mother lived till she was 92 and would never admit that she was wrong about anything.
Mhm.
And that's why I can't be gaslit, because I was raised by the queen of gaslighting, you
Ah,
know.
gotcha.
And so, I that was a big motivation for me to give my son a voice. And that's why we have such a beautiful relationship. So, you sound like a sensible, reasonable person, and if you can, just if you could just keep the end in mind and realize you're not raising a child, you're raising a man, and your job is to equip him with everything that he needs to have so that he can be courageous and go into the world and make his own way. And so, we have to make them full of confidence, but not foolish. We have to bolster them. We have to give them roots, but also give them wings so that they can fly away one day. It's a fucking high wire act, but it's the best thing ever. It's the best thing I've ever done for sure.
Well, that was the big thing that, like, my wife has seen me lose my top a little bit, but she also knows, and that was always the big thing. Let's revisit. Let's revisit. Let's sit down. I mean, just talk it out, and man, it, I ain't doing such a bad job. I have definitely fucked up, but
Of course.
goodness knows, like, my newly, over the past couple of years, like, refurbishing of my relationship with my dad, it's not going so bad, you
Good.
know. And goodness knows, like, we're gonna keep that going for a little while.
Excellent. Well, as always, it's a pleasure chatting with you folks for that hung in there for almost 2.5 hours. Thank you so much. And you know, uh, I do these lives because I love talking to people. I hope one day I can make a living in social media. I have no fucking clue yet how to do that, but I'm working on it. But if I never make a dime on this shit, then conversations like the one that we just had are going to be plenty payoff for me. So thank you for being here. Have a great night. Hopefully we'll talk soon.
Later, man.
All right. And folks, I'm here Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern. On Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I add a show at noon. And hopefully you'll catch me another time. Thank you for everyone that gifted, for everyone that tapped, and more importantly, giving me your time, because that is the most important commodity that we all have. So until we meet each other again, peace, love, and granola.